Good morning. My name is Scott, the Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's morning call. It is Monday, and here we are. You know, everyone was tweeting all weekend about the news that we do have a ceasefire, that, you know, we're keeping the 10% tariffs but not going to 25%. You know, we had talked about the scenarios, and that was like the biggest percentage scenario. And if we said if that happened, we could see 2,800 in the S&P cash, and here we are, 2,805. So if you're not obsessively long, don't be upset. You know, this was a binary event, and they might have been able to walk away, and we could have been down 50 handles. So, you know, it is what it is. Thank goodness last week we had a very methodical week to the upside, where if you remember last week at this time, we also gapped up about 30 handles. Then we held it on Tuesday, then we extended on Wednesday. So we had a nice 3-day calculated move where you didn't have to be so worried about what would happen at a dinner table or what the president would do. You were more worried about the levels, the price action, and the trade. And that wound up being a really nice trade. So again, as we went out at like 27.60 on Friday, yes, deal gets done. We're at 2,800. The deal got done, or a ceasefire happened, not a real deal. So now the question is, you know, if you're long, I would definitely trim some into this. Question is, if you come in flat, what do you do? Okay, there will be traders who try and short the open, which makes sense. I might short the open on a few things we'll go over. But if you're looking to buy the open, you know, I wouldn't be doing it in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. I'd at least wait an hour and see how these things play out, or maybe even wait till tomorrow. I don't even know. You know, at this point, the oscillator went out plus 35, I think, which that's right about overbought. So we're going to probably be coming in plus 70, which is very overbought. But you have a new month, you have new flows, you have the seasonality. So if you think, hey, I could just short the open, it might last for another day or so before you're right, and you have to know whether or not you can take that pain. But, you know, into these resistance areas, I do think it's a better sell today or tomorrow versus starting a fresh position, because, you know, come into the week, you might have to be sitting through and, you know, while things digest or trade a little bit lower and still be constructive. So anyway, here's a chart of the S&P cash. If you look here, you know, what do I mean by a constructive week? Well, if you remember last week, you know, we came in the week pretty flat, right? We closed in the dead lows, which was right here that Friday, opened up, and that kind of gave us a little bit of a spot to trade against. So if you remember, after Monday, you know, it was pretty strong. We had a bunch of longs on. That's when Trump said, hey, I don't know if we're going to do a deal. Part of his art of the deal, where he doesn't like to show his hand. So right here we said, will this hold? Can you hold 26.49? It did. That was your, you know, buy against or use as a stop, and it closed really well. So maybe even if you got in or out early in the morning, later in the day, you know, it was a nice trade to own. And then here Powell said, hey, we're closer to neutral. Then you had a digestion day, and then we went up on Friday, and now, you know, lo and behold, you know, we're coming into this pretty big resistance. So at this point, you know, I wouldn't think you should be coming in with guns blazing and buying right here, but it could also be a little bit of a tricky short. So it's up to you how you want to treat it. This was a pretty big level we broke down also. This I would think would be the max, the max we could see this week, which was 28.60. So that's another 60 handles or so from where we are. I personally don't think we get there this week, but you never know what could happen. But at this point, here's resistance. If you were long from last week, I would definitely trim some. If you're looking to get long because you think we get to here by Santa Claus, you know, wait to see if we pull in, wait to see what kind of gap we have to potentially trade against. If you want to look at the spiders, you know, we were as high as 281, this morning, and we pulled in a little bit. Here is this, you know, potential double top. You know, we don't really hear about triple tops because rarely it happens, so maybe you get up here, you know, it becomes a little bit of a sell, and then, you know, later in the week it tries to take it out. At this point, I don't know. All I know is, you know, if you look here, this was your gap up last Monday that held on Tuesday, that gave you some follow through Wednesday. So this was your really calculated tradable move without having to take overnight risk. And now this is, you know, resistance. This is 281.10. This is 281.15. And then, you know, the other spot it broke down from was all the way over here, which I think is like 284, which you kind of can't rule out. If we were to see this spot somewhat quickly, you know, like meaning by tomorrow, 285, which I don't think it's going to happen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sell some calls. You know, like maybe if we're at 281, maybe I sell the 283s for Friday, and and then say, hey, I don't mind being short this market at 284 after a move from here, and I should be able to trade around it. Will I short the spiders in the first 5 minutes? I don't know. I might wait for a high and then short against that for then to see if it pulls in to see where we hold. Or we pull in, stocks don't pull in, and all of a sudden, like, wow, maybe there's a little bit more, because shorts will cover. If we get above 281.22 or 281.15, it's a pretty big level, and people are short against it. All of a sudden, you might get a mechanical squeeze, which could provide the overshoot. So we shall see. IWM, I did take the overnight risk. I did stay long. We were long it for most of last week, so hopefully some of you guys are happy that we made money there. I was long spiders early in the week, but then I stayed with the IWM late in the week. So I was thinking, hey, we can get at least to here, which would, which could happen today. I sold a little bit this morning already above 154.50, and I'll try and wait with the rest to see if this could happen. 281 in the spiders is kind of like 157, so there's still a little bit of catch up here if it wants it, so we shall see. So I'm going to try and stay with some, and if all of a sudden the spiders come in, or with the future we come in 10-15 handles and this holds up, I might even add, as if I didn't own the spider, the Russell, and I thought that maybe you can get into here. The Qs participated last week. Congratulations to those of you who made some good money there. There is a pretty big resistance area, coming into this spot here, which is around 173. And then you have this pivot here, which is 175.50. So into this spot from here, I would not be saying, hey, go buy a heck of a lot of it, because if you buy it here and then tomorrow it pulls in, you have to hold through the pain, even if it might go higher, which I don't even know if it will. So just be careful buying in this zone. I'd rather see if you were long, sell some. And if you're looking to short, just do it carefully if that's what you do. It's still way off of where it broke trend, but it's a pretty significant move from the lows to here, so I would definitely be trimming, not adding there. On Friday, I tweeted you guys that I got along the OAHs. Some guys in the VTF were really liking it, and I know that guys have been trying it for a while, so I'm like, hey, you know what, I feel like I could take some pain there if we open down on Monday. Instead, it's up like 4 or 5%, which is nice. I trimmed a little bit already coming in. You did have this like falling wedge type view, which we've seen before. So I do think why can't it get to here, and still be a broken sector, but we shall see. At this point, one resistance is 1877. This is where it is this morning. Could go another 50 cents. So I'm going to sell some and hold some. Overall, hopefully, any of you guys that were in this thing on this candlestick, you ran out of Dodge like as fast as you possibly could, because that's a gross looking candlestick that went below all the moving averages. So if you did that around 24, 25, hey, you have the luxury to buy 1830s with me. We'll see now. That's a decent trade. Now let's go into the names. Apple last week on Monday, if you remember last week, had a nice reversal. I was long, and then all of a sudden after the close, the news that Trump might put a tariff on it, that the Wall Street Journal kind of sandbagged them with that little statement. But anyway, all week long, all you heard about is what would happen if there was a tariff. Meanwhile, there were no tariffs, and his agenda wasn't to put a tariff on the iPhone. So anyway, we did make some money long the stock, and then I did hold the options, the calls, and I sold puts, and I never sell puts. So thank goodness it worked out. I was saying, hey, I sold the 165 puts for $1.40. If they put me the stock, I'd love to have it below 165, but that was like early last week. And then we bought the 175s for, I believe, $3.50, the 180s for $1.60, and we'll see where we are today. I'm going to sell some. The stock's around 185. Then I'm going to hold a little bit, because I do think they expire Friday, and we could see closer to 188, 190. This morning Kramer is focusing on it again. Everyone's just focusing on all the negatives now. It's so funny how sentiment changes, and everyone wants to be smarter than the next guy. But anyway, we look at Apple. It is broken. It hasn't been great, et cetera, et cetera. But can it get to here for a trade? I do think so. But again, you're gonna have to do it very carefully, because everyone's gonna be talking about it all day long. Here is 188. Okay. We bought the stock on this day, on this reversal, okay, and then really got involved on this day is when I tweeted to you guys and say, hey, I'm putting a pretty big bet on, or a big long trade on Apple. And then we had some follow through on Wednesday. It didn't trade great on Thursday, Friday, but anyway, it held where it had to. And now for today, I guess we'll see what does it do here. Can it stay above 182.80 and hold the majority of the gap? If so, I might even buy the stock if it pulls back versus that, and then we'll see if we can get a little bit better action this week. I'm not saying, hey, we're going back to 220, 230, but I'm thinking, why can't we see 189 and maybe there's a trade in this stock besides just the options, and I'm going to probably have to sell some of the calls in the first 30 minutes, and then I'm going to sit with the rest and see how it works out. But it would be nice to see at least this spot. Some think even here, which could happen as well. But for today, we'll look for some price discovery. We'll look to see how it trades the first 30 minutes or so. If it pulls in, puts a low in, maybe you could buy versus the gap, and if the gap holds, maybe we could hold till tomorrow. If it pulls in and goes red and fills the gap, it'll be unfortunate, and then I definitely won't be in the stock, and at that point, I'll probably have a little options left over, and then we'll just let it play out. If it gaps up and just goes, chances are I won't buy the stock, but it'll be good for the options, so we'll figure it out. Amazon, some of you guys made some good money. I traded it early last week. I didn't stay with it, but it led. Remember this pocket pivot, guys, just for another time. Pocket pivots are great ways to make money in stocks that are beaten down, that you're looking for a trade. What's a pocket pivot? Right here. This was the Tuesday low. Remember that Tuesday low that we bought NVIDIA and Facebook and concentrated on tech that reversed and was better than the Dow? Well, anyway, here is the day that it said, hey, we're confirming this low, and there you go. So now, here's some resistance, okay, where it's basically opening into now, 1780. I do think if you long some, sell some. I think the max this could see this week is somewhere around this 1840. So if you feel like just playing the game short and you want to short here and say, hey, if it goes above 1800, I'm going to wait and short more up here, and build a short position for some kind of pull-in, that's not my type of trade. But I might look for a short versus a level or versus a 5 15-minute high. I'm probably not going to short and stay short for 30, 40 points and wait to see how it reacts into this zone, because this is a pretty big resistance zone. But that's kind of your risk. If you're shorting here, it could go to there. If you're buying here for that after this, I don't think it's that compelling. Google, congrats to you guys. I've traded it out of this descending channel here. We listed this a few times, and finally it triggered. I did not trade it myself, but I don't have to trade everything for you to trade it. That was that descending channel. Nice little reversal here, boom. At this spot, I would be a seller, into this 1140, 1145 area. Could go a little bit higher, so just be careful shorting it. But into this spot, I would think it's a better sell than a buy, and this is right around 1147. So from here to there, I definitely don't think that, I just don't think that this would be a spot to be a buyer today. Even if it goes through it later this month, but the first time here, you would think it would, you could sell it and then it can come in and then go. So at this point, I think it was 1140 this morning, so it has a little bit more room. If you want to start at 1140s and say, I'm going to short it all the way up to 1160, I don't care, then that's cool too. Then that's your type of trade. I probably won't do that, but I'll definitely have some eyes on it. I might feel a little bit more comfortable doing that with something like Netflix. If you remember, we targeted for a bounce. I played it for 2 days, which was nice. Obviously, it would have been nice to sit in it, but I didn't. This is a spot, this 300. They could definitely push the envelope higher towards where it broke down from. It broke down from this 30, this spot right around here. So just know that there's about 7-8 points of a push around or of overthrow if it wants it. It could even get up to here if it wanted it. So just be careful shorting the first 5 minutes if you don't think you can handle what could be a push if they try and squeeze it on the open. I might look for just a divergence, and we see them sometimes where all of a sudden it's trading 301. SPYs go another $1 and this doesn't move, then hey, just ran out of gas, and then maybe get a pull in. So we'll see. Facebook was also a great trade for us that Tuesday, and then a little bit last week. Now, it's funny. Now there's articles how, did Facebook put a bottom in? And it's already just rallied. I know it's only for us. We're trying to be perfect, 10 points. So anyway, it's opening above, this moving average that has been resistance the entire time. Can it get to 150? Maybe. So that's why you want to be a little careful. Just blindly shorting, considering how far it came down from. This would be a pretty big, big resistance spot. This would be some micro resistance. This is probably where it is this morning, this 145. So I'm going to wait. If I see it open up 144, 145, market takes another push. It doesn't. Maybe I'll trade some short just to see if it pulls in. But I'm not buying the open just because I think it might. That could happen. So again, you got to take care with that kind of stuff. So that's really so far. Like, you know, as I'm writing the note and I'm doing the videos, it's like the main thought is if you're not coming in long, you can't really buy. And if you're looking just to short, they could definitely push these things a little bit more if you short too fast and too much. You know, if you are going to buy the open, you better be quick. And if it does push, take your profits. Don't add on strength. You know, definitely don't do that. Let's move down the list in the video. You know, also that Tuesday it helped lead. You know, stock's been broken for quite some time, but it has acted better since this, you know, reversal low that held higher, closed well on Friday. You know, here is, you know, the moving average of 177, which is within this gap. The gap goes all the way up to 195. So be careful if you just think, you know, you could short it because it came up a lot from the lows, but look how much it came from the highs. So big, you know, big gap here that could do whatever it wants. I would use your 5 and 15-minute chart here. But 177 should be resistance. That's also the low here of 176. So I'll look around here. Maybe there's a, you know, a fade. If it gets here and it shows a negative divergence, maybe I'll short versus that area. But I'm not going to play the cost average game because it's just not my type of trade. AMD is probably up a little bit. You know, at this point, since the reversal off the post earnings low, it's behaved somewhat decent. Not so special. You know, major resistance is up here, like everything else. So maybe there's some room if it wants it. I would not buy the up open here also. It's hard to buy the open anywhere. BABA acted better for the Chinese names, closed on the highs. Now you have some pretty big resistance at the 200-day right there. So to me, this is not a buy. If anything, if you're long, sell some, and if you're looking to try something short, you know, maybe you could try verse that. But again, better off having a point of reference first. Some of the other names aren't really special, but I guess, you know, if China has a short-term bottom, this WB is trying to turn up, where could it go? I don't know, maybe it can go to 70, or if it really wants to keep going, you know, a little bit higher. So if you trade this name and you know it well, looks like that could happen. Baidu isn't special. You know, a little engulfing bar on Friday, but hard to be long into that kind of event. But we'll see, or you'll see if you want to see if it could work its way till here. So you really got to map out, you know, where can it go, and where will it be tough to get through. I'm still in NEO. NEO's been a good trade for us. You know, it's been pretty easy to hold. We listed it for the first time here. I got in probably the day before that, added, and then I've been trading around it. At this point, it's up a little bit this morning. I think someone sent me a story that there was a $13 price target. Well, for it to get to 13, it's going to have to get above and stay above 8 first. I did trim some because, I don't know, I always trim a little bit on an up open. It's up 5-6%. But if it holds 8 and there's volume, maybe I add to it. Okay, here's 821, and this is 835. You know, if it gets above there, there's really not much up until 9. So we'll see. But all in all, it's been something I've been holding, and decent percentage gain. Not a blockbuster trade if you're over focusing on it, but a decent percentage gain if you're in there. As far as like the newer names in the past few years that are already almost at all-time highs, I haven't been really focusing on them. They've been on my note giving you levels. One of them is Twilo, you know, TWLO. You know, it's going to get above probably this area today. So if you're looking for an all-time high move, make sure it holds this 96, 97, or 98, 89 area. It just came up 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 days. So be careful buying it today or adding to a long. Etsy also, what a move. Right back to highs, so it's probably going to be opening above this today. But you know, adding to there, you know, after such a substantial 6-day rally, just it goes against my day count rules. You know, if anything, this was like your pocket pivot to buy. You probably reduced a little bit, saying, "Hey, we don't know what's happening here over the weekend, and now it's gapping up." I wouldn't be chasing it, but it'll be good to know the market health. Can something get above and stay above an all-time high? So if it could get above 55.71 and close at 60, wow, showing some power. If it gets above here and then reverses down, then you know maybe even the market sells down a little bit. So you could use it for something. TTD also, you know, big move last week. You know, could have been a tradable long for you guys. I think I listed it at one of these points. I don't remember exactly because I don't overtrade this one. broke out, reclaimed the moving averages, and now has room till here. So if you trade that, just know that could happen. It's acting better. It's a little extended, so I would not be chasing it today, but it's definitely a candidate to make a new all-time high ahead of other things. CGC, this group hasn't been special. Very tight though down here. It looks like it's opening above it. I wouldn't short it on the open, it's just not compelling, but see how it reacts here. Boeing, it's good to know what the Boeing's doing for the market. It had a pretty big move from the lows, held higher, then gave you another decent move. So if you go like this was your hold higher, kind of like the Tuesday low that tech did. And now, I don't know, I feel like I would not be buying this into 370. This 360 to 370 area is definitely a better sell area than a buy area, especially after this. So again, as I go through every stock and every sector, after last week's move into this week's gap up, it just feels like, first time it gets into this area, even if it pushes a little bit more, it's probably a better sell than a buy, and a trickier buy, because if you buy it, and for more than 5 minutes or 15 minutes, you want to do it for the week, you could be underwater by tomorrow or the day after. If you're trying to short, you might get, pushed in your grill a little bit, but if you're willing to, short today, maybe short tomorrow if there's more strength, and knowing how overbought we are, chances are you will be able to trade out of it at some point, but then, you're sitting there and hoping for markets to go down, and it's a tough trade, especially if you're not a great short. So, that's what we have today. Thank goodness, if you took some risk with me, the Apple calls definitely take some of the edge off, because we have triples in a lot of them. Having some small caps and OHs help, having NEO help. So having 4 longs coming into this gap up definitely, is rewarding. It's obviously not 10 longs. We don't have a huge size, but I never do that into a binary event. It's just not what I do, because if you're wrong or something weird happens, then all of a sudden, you're trading from way behind that, that you have to make back. So with that said, I'm going to go post some charts. I've already sold a little IWMs, OAHs, and some NEO. I'm going to see if I could, stay with them, and I'll wait to see how Apple reacts at the open, and then I'll see if any of those other high beta tech names, show a negative divergence for a cute short. Other than that, I might not be doing a whole heck of a lot. I wish you the best, and I'll see you on the VTF, and I'll try and tweet you guys, let you know what I'm doing, or I'll see you to recap. Bye-bye.